A Study of Studies, Self-Monitoring Skills in Reading Comprehension, presented by Emily Sklenkar of Frostburg University's Reading Capstone 637 program. My research question: does modeling and teaching self-monitoring reading skills help to improve students' reading comprehension? This study of studies hopes to determine the impact that modeling and teaching self-monitoring reading skills has on a student's reading comprehension. Efficient readers begin to use self-monitoring skills with some automaticity. It's important to see the effects of teaching these types of skills to students on their reading comprehension. Self-monitoring skills will guide students' desire and ability to read for meaning and apply the knowledge as they grow into adult readers. Further rationale. My passion for this research topic developed during my master's study of reading and education. I've come to understand that the most important reason for reading is to learn, and to read means to think. Therefore, I wanted to determine the best ways to guide students to a place of reading for meaning that will serve them as lifelong readers and learners. Readers of all ages must use self-monitoring and metacognitive skills in order to read, comprehend, and ultimately learn and apply new information. To become a successful lifelong reader, we ponder, question, analyze, debate, agree with, and evaluate text. I pondered, what is the teacher's role in all of this? Is it expected that students innately learn to monitor their own reading? How will teachers guide students to a place of competence and competency? Here's an overview of the 10 study designs and methodology that were part of my study of studies. Participants range in age from kindergarten to 6th grade. 4 of the 10 studies specify a rural or small-town population. 2 of the 10 studies identify a focus on students with learning disabilities or at-risk readers. The research environment. 5 of the 10 studies took place during regular classroom instruction with regular classroom teachers. 1 of the 10 studies spent some time in general education classrooms with special education supports. 4 of the 10 studies utilized small groups and more private settings. The research environments did vary from study to study. Of these 10 studies, they span from 1986 to 2013. However, 8 of the 10 studies range from 2002 to 2013. The study designs were mostly quantitative research designs. Specifically noted was 1 case study, 1 multiple baseline across group design, and 2 quasi-experimental studies. The procedures for collecting data vary from study to study, but include standardized pre- and post-test, theory-based intervention groups, strategy instruction groups, comprehension test, teacher study groups, and teacher observation, interview data collection. In the next few slides, I will briefly highlight the 10 research studies that are part of this review. It's important to note that the Felt study spent some time modeling both questioning strategies and self-monitoring strategies, reminding students to think about selecting the appropriate graphic organizer, asking questions, locating information to answer questions, and clarifying. During assessment, those students were given only general prompts and asked to think aloud. In that particular study, Felt and Felt 2002, they examined the effectiveness of the questioning strategy in connection to text structure and found a large increase in the text structure knowledge. We will continue to look at Davey and McBride further in the presentation. I was drawn to the Glogman study in 1997 because it was focused on kindergarten level students, which was hard to come by in this topic. This study also wants to hone in on the training methods that work best. Many young children ask spontaneous questions and could use this to enhance their reading abilities. The study examined if theory-based intervention enhances achievements in self-directed learning, story comprehension, and self-questioning strategies. Interventions with use of metacognitive theory seem to produce overall higher scores in achievement, although both theory-based groups led to improved comprehension. I also looked at Huff and Netfeld 2009. Their study explored how comprehension monitoring training would impact fifth grade students' monitoring accuracy and explored if monitoring accuracy training would benefit comprehension monitoring training. No overall significant difference for training groups. Those participants who were in one of the two comprehension groups showed greater improvements than the control groups. All groups improved from pre to post test. Literature review continued. Here we look at Lang and Kamhi, 2002. The study found that the think aloud strategy was useful in determining frequency and types of inferences. What an interesting insight. You compare the number and types of inferences made by average and below average readers using think aloud protocols versus listen through protocols. Average readers often outperformed below average, which may have been to be expected. However, all those who participated in the think aloud group showed gains and advances. In the Mahdavi and Tensfeld 2013, we are looking at a study of studies. Here they reviewed 25 peer-reviewed studies to determine if young struggling readers can make gains in reading comprehension through strategy instruction. They found that active participation in predicting, asking questions, and making connections were important factors in improved reading comprehension. I found it both interesting and reassuring to see that the results of these 25 studies were very comparable to the results of my 10 studies. Literature review continued. Maine's research in 2013 encouraged imagination and empathy in response to text and promotes creative and exciting responses to text. The study takes place in England, where there has been typically a big focus on word recognition skills, but the importance on reading comprehension has recently emerged. The study explored how children engage in intermental and intramental processes of reading, with both the text and reader and among readers. The observations encourage teachers to model and engage students in conversation. Keep the dialogue flowing. I just had to share a quote that came from this study. Consequently, if comprehension is viewed as thinking that is a dynamic and continuous process of thought, rather than a series of pre-packaged skills, then it is the teacher's role to model and celebrate such behaviors, to offer rich and varied literacy experiences for children, whilst also modeling the critical metacognitive skills that allow creative thinkers to monitor their own understanding and decide what is reasonable. The quote from this study encompasses my entire research project, speaks directly to the overall results that I found from my 10 studies. Next, we have Prado and Plord in 2011. The study examines the relationship between the teaching of reading strategies and reading comprehension. It also looks at the data of boys versus girls. Major finding was that scores greatly increased from pre to post test after explicit strategy instruction. We will look a little further at this study later in the presentation. Literature review continued. We have Taylor, Pearson, Peterson, and Rodriguez, 2013. The study looked at which elements of instructional practices accounted for the greatest growth in students' achievements. Findings show that student support and active participation were most effective. We also have a study by Taylor, Albert, and Walker in 2002. Study examines the comparative effects of the self-questioning and story mapping on the literal and inferential reading comprehension of students with learning disabilities. Both strategies proved to be effective in improving reading comprehension even in a short training period. Let's take a closer look. Here we have the Davy and McBride research in 1986, generating self-questions after reading, a comprehension assist for elementary students. Students were randomly assigned to the reread or self-generating question group. The question group was asked to read and generate 2 think questions. Correlation between those who generated self-questions after reading and comprehension and recall. Inferential comprehension was enhanced by self-questioning. The reread group did comparable to the self-questioning group in literal comprehension. The study suggests that higher order thinking is enhanced by the use of self-questioning. Although this study was done in the 80s, the results and the information is still relevant today. Let's take a closer look at the Prado and Plord 2011 study. The theoretical framework believed that the NPR reading strategies cannot be learned as you read, but need to be explicitly taught. 70% of participants showed improvement in this study. Significant gains from pre to post test, proving that the strategy instruction did have an effect on comprehension. No statistical difference was found between boys and girls, although it was suggested that research be looked at further in the future to determine if there are differences between boys and girls in their reading comprehension and the best way to teach them. One observation: students struggled to transfer information from one genre to another. Results, trends, and themes. Overall trends from the above study suggest that intervention and direct strategy instruction correlate to improved comprehension and reading skills. Direct teaching of self-questioning and other self-monitoring skills correlated to improvements in comprehension and reading skills. Active participation and student support were a common thread throughout many studies that contributed to student success and comprehension improvement. Metacognitive strategies such as self-questioning and think-alouds proved to be effective ways to transfer strategies and access working memory and comprehension. For teachers and school supports, the overall implications from this research is to model and directly teach self-monitoring comprehension skills to enhance readers' overall performance and higher order thinking. It was good to see that of the 10 studies, all slightly varying, that many similar findings and recommendations were found across all studies. Further action and implications. I would love to see more research on this topic with younger, emergent readers. What's the benefit of starting at a younger age? This research topic is difficult due to the fact that monitoring someone's comprehension strategies with reading is almost impossible. You can only get a sense from after reading testing, conversations, and observations. Several studies talked about using dialogue between readers and think-alouds. It is interesting to look at what teaching methods are best for teaching strategies. Overall implications for teachers is that research shows strong correlation between teaching comprehension and self-monitoring skills and gains in comprehension. Therefore, teachers should be trained and expected to model and teach such strategies. Several studies highlighted the use of think-alouds and conversations about text in order for teachers to get an idea of where children are in their level of comprehension. Here you can see all of the studies that I used. Thank you for your time.